Welcome back everyone. I hope you know how to make apple cider because you're going to need to know how to make that for this upcoming competition, which features the Mead meta. Mead is a new item that is one tier above apple cider, which means you're going to need to make apple cider and some other items in order to craft mead. And it will be more difficult to do so because more items are involved. So I'm going to go over the details for the competition, and I'm also going to go over the prize structure, and then I have a build showcase prepared to give you an idea on how to create a competitive build for this competition. As always, you can find the official details in the Common Ground World Announcements channel in the Gala Games Discord, and an invite link to the Gala Games Discord is in the description of the video. The event will begin on March 12, 2024 and end 3 days later. Make sure to verify the exact start time for yourself by visiting the Discord. Visit this announcement because it will tell you the exact time relative to your time zone. For me, it's 11 a.m. and the reason I'm telling you this is because it may have changed. We recently participated in daylight saving time here, so if you did not participate in daylight saving time, then the time is likely different than what you normally expect it to be. So the meta is to sell mead. The standard trade time is 60 seconds with a 1 gasoline cost, which is reasonable. The biome is plains facing north, and the edges are a river on east and south, and then the plains on north and west. They did provide us with an image of the starter town right here. So the rivers will provide up to 5 passive water, and you're going to have a lot of passive water in this corner right here. You also start off with 2 windmills and 2 wheat fields, so you could start up by making flour, but I do not recommend it. There is no cash boost for this competition, so you are better off doing a gold rush. I always recommend doing gold rush because it is the best competitive way to make all of the cash that you need in order to finish your design if you do not have any other NFTs to help you do other methods. If you don't know how to do a gold rush, I'm going to link a video in the description of this one of a gold rush that I have created in the past to give you an idea of how it works and how much cash you can generate with it. It's one of the best methods if you don't have another alternative or other NFTs to help you, and whenever there's no cash boost. So the rewards are the standard Gala rewards for reaching the top 1200. They always have a chart of this on the announcements, which you can find here. I'm going to show you what it looks like on the Townstar playbook because I also have a chart that takes into account the current value of Gala to give you a better idea on how to perceive the value of these rewards. And just in case you've never heard of the Townstar playbook, this is a Google spreadsheet guide that I have created for the community for Common Ground World, formerly known as Townstar, to give people all the information they need to play the game competitively. So it has all the information for the buildings and the farms that you can place, the crafts you can make there and the craft requirements, all the numbers you could need, such as the selling values, the amount of points you can get, which building it's crafted from, which building it's stored in, and any other workers you may need to actually pick up the item. There's also information for a lot of the NFTs here, including their utility, and also these pictures to give you an idea on how the passive proximity effect for some of these NFTs work. And I also have a tab called competition list. So this is where I want to show you the current prize structure, which is Gala for anyone who places in the top 1200 in the leaderboard. The smallest prize is right here. If you place between 1200th and 900 in first place, you will receive 100 Gala, and this table right here takes into account the current price of Gala as of me viewing and recording this video. You can see the USD equivalent for that Gala prize, and of course if you place better in the leaderboard you can also receive more Gala, and this is the exact placement and the exact amount of Gala, and then you can see the USD equivalent there. I also have information for all of the competitions before this to give you an idea of what the value of Gala was when those competition rewards were paid out. So if you are new to Common Ground World, this is a great guide to give you all the information you need to know You can find a link to the Townstar playbook in the description of the video. Last week I showcased the build for apple cider, so I'm also going to leave that in the description of the video. I highly suggest you check it out if you're not familiar on how to craft apple cider, but that is also crafted in the brewery, and here are all the craft requirements for apple cider. Now, in order to craft mead, you also need to craft that in a brewery, and it will require 1 apple cider, 1 ceramic mug, 2 yeast, and 3 honey, and I'll be going over those crafts in this video. Also, the craft time is 200 seconds and it is stored in the storehouse. I'm going to talk about the new NFT that was released with this competition called the Medieval Tavern. This is an epic rarity NFT with pretty significant utility. So it does 2 things when placed in your town. The first thing is that it gives a 20% movement speed bonus to all of the workers in your town. This is something that is helpful in every single competition, because if your workers can move faster, they can get the items they need quicker, they can deposit the items quicker, everything gets done faster, which impacts your production rate positively. This makes it a very competitive NFT to have since it can be used in every single competition. The second utility is that it provides a 20% craft time reduction to all of the crafts in a brewery, which is good for any meta that involves breweries like this one, of course. But even if the competition doesn't require any brewery craft related items, the first utility from this NFT will more than make up for having it placed in your town. Medieval Tavern doesn't cast any shade, it doesn't have any wages, and it doesn't even require a road, which makes it very easy to place in those odd spots in your town where you don't know what else to place, and you don't have to worry about it negatively impacting anything else. So that is great. Overall, a great NFT to have. So the price for this NFT was $300, and there was 300 in supply in the Gala game store, but it is sold out now. It actually sold out within the first 2 minutes. So you're probably wondering, why am I even telling you about this NFT? Well, because I want you to know about its utility and about my thoughts and opinions on the NFT. Even though it is sold out, I do believe that this is a very good NFT to have for any competitive player, but it is not the only thing that is required in order to reach those very top positions. Just because you have this NFT doesn't mean that you are guaranteed a very good position. You still need to have other NFTs to help you with the meta going on, whatever the meta may be. But yes, I do believe that this NFT is a very good one to have because it can help you in every single competition. So now I'm going to showcase my Mead build, which I believe this build is competitive enough to get at least top 1200 in the competition, but there is a good amount of room for improvement to push this further. So let me go ahead and show you what the production rate for this is. This build is producing 31 mead per hour. I've had it running for over 15 hours now, so I guarantee that that's the production rate it should be doing, and it's had no issues with selling everything it needs, which means that the build is balanced. I'm going to scroll through the production monitor a little slower because I scrolled through it really quickly just there, so you can get an idea of what the production for everything is. And I'm not going to go through every single item, but I can tell you that the bottleneck that prevented this from going over 31 mead per hour, because I do believe a really good no NFT rate would be between 35 to 40 mead per hour, but the reason I wasn't able to achieve that with this specific design, and I could have optimized it better but I chose not to, is because I needed at least 2 more breweries in order to make more apple cider and more mead, and I believe I also needed 1 or 2 more pottery shops so I can make more ceramic bowls and more ceramic mugs, and that's also going to mean that I need at least another mine in order to make more chromium for those ceramic mugs. So I'm basically telling you what I believe was the thing that's stopping this from being able to achieve an even higher production rate. Now it's up to you on how you want to improve this design, but I always encourage you to find a way on how to improve it further. I'm not going to go over how to craft apple cider and all of the crafts involved in that again. If you still don't know, check the description of the video. to find the video I made on the apple cider build showcase. That'll explain everything that is required for apple cider. I'm going to explain the windmills and the mines just so you know. Right now there are 23 windmills. These 3 are making sugar and all the other ones are making flour. There's only one windmill that is on a green craft timer, which means that it is not being negatively impacted by any shade, so that it's able to craft flour as fast as it can, unlike all the other windmills which are being impacted by shade. So the reason this one is not being impacted by shade is because I have the trade depot, the water facilities, and the oil pumps all next to them, and all of these don't cast any shade, which makes it very convenient to have this setup right here. So this helps save a couple of windmill spots since that windmill is more efficient. And as for the mines, since there is no mountain, shallow mines need to be used instead of iron mines. Shallow mines take longer to craft the chromium and limestone that you need to make for this, which means that if you wanted to make more chromium and limestone, you would need to have more shallow mines. So just keep that in mind. And I do have all the passive energy for the shallow mines coming from these 2 power plants and this nuclear power. So let's get into Mead. I already explained how to make apple cider and yeast in the previous showcase, so I need to explain ceramic mugs and honey. So ceramic mugs are crafted in the pottery shops, and it's very important that I use the nuclear power in order to provide passive energy to the pottery shops without casting dirty on them, because if I were to have used a power plant, it would have casted dirty on the pottery shop, which would have slowed it down significantly. That's why you want to have the nuclear power. And this setup allows me to have 7 pottery shops, 2 of which are making ceramic mugs, and here is the craft requirements for ceramic mugs right there. And the other 5 pottery shops are making ceramic bowls. And yes, they do have the passive energy, of course, and the passive water drums, as you can see right there from the water pumps. Ceramic bowls are required in order to make honey at a beehive. For this process, I have 5 beekeeper houses. The beekeepers are in charge of collecting lumber and these ceramic bowls and taking them to the 3 beehives which are making honey, and the bees themselves collect the nectar from the 8 clover fields that I have next to them. I made sure that the bees or the beehives are facing the north, so they are facing this road, or these are facing these buildings, because I believe it makes it more efficient for the workers to pick it up. I'm not completely sure. I didn't test rotating it all different ways, but I am to believe that that is more efficient, since that is the route that the beekeepers take in order to deposit the honey or pick up the ceramic bowls or even pick up the lumber. And lumber is balanced between 3 items now instead of 2, since you have to balance it between limestone, chromium, and honey. Also, since ceramic bowls and ceramic mugs need to be made, that involves clay, so there are 3 clay fields right here. The clay lumps can be directly picked up by the pottery shop workers, but more than likely you're going to use a forklift, and the forklift will also pick up the clay lumps and take it to a warehouse. You have to use a forklift to pick up the silica and oil from the oil pumps, so you're better off having 2 forklifts to make sure that you have enough forklifts to pick everything up on time, because if you are only using 1 forklift, more than likely they're going to have too much to do and they're not going to be able to do everything. So that's why I have 2 forklifts running in this design. I believe that explains all the items. Last thing here, 6 breweries, 3 of which are making apple cider and 3 are making mead. Here is what the auto trade looks like. I have most of the items at 10. I do have wheat, apples, and water drums at 12. I'm not actually auto selling honey, but you could set honey to 20 if you wanted to. I'm also not auto selling lumber or gasoline, but it's not a problem since this build is cash positive anyways. Here's what the build looks like on the visualizer. Total cost is about 22 million. Wages are 21,910 per minute, but you will have no issue paying the wages once you are done with the design and selling mead. You can find the file for this visualizer in my Discord server, and an invite link to my Discord server can be found in the description of the video. No NFTs are required in order to reach this production rates. As for a couple helpful NFTs for this competition, obviously the medieval tavern would be a huge help here, along with any general use case NFTs like Miranda skins, enchanted ornaments, any effect cards to reduce the craft time or increase the movement speed of certain workers for these buildings. Other NFTs would be the wheat stand in order to provide passive wheat to the windmills, even something like a sugarcane stand or Christmas sugarcane stand to provide passive sugarcane for the windmills making sugar. The 888 Orb of Hope would be another good one to have, as it eliminates the dirty proximity effect next to the orb. So the orb is placed right here. It eliminates the dirty proximity effect of all these tiles, which can be good for the pottery shop, because then you can have the pottery shops next to a power plant and not have to worry about the dirty negative proximity effect reducing the craft time of the crafts in the pottery shop. So it can let you get by with different designs, and if you happen to have enough of those orbs of hope, then you could completely get by without having to have a nuclear power. Although I still highly suggest a nuclear power because it's more efficient, even if it takes more cash to build it. And since there's no oil seed provided, you could also use a haunted mansion NFT that provides passive crude oil to your refinery in order to help you craft petroleum without needing all these oil pumps. So that's just to mention a couple NFTs. That's it for the build showcase. 31 mead per hour seems pretty good to me, and a pretty good competitive rate for the competition, and there's still a lot of room for improvement here. I do believe you can push 35 to 40 mead per hour with the right adjustments, and hopefully this build gives you an idea on how to create or improve your current design. If you found this helpful or informative, please leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe so you don't miss out on my content. Click that link in the description to play Common Ground World, and if you ever plan on purchasing anything from the Gala game store, make sure to use that, as it will help support me. As always, I appreciate your support and thank you for watching.